You think you're thinking? You're probably just copying. You copy the way you dress. You copy how you talk. You copy opinions you've never questioned, from people you barely know. And the scary part? You don't even realize it. Most of what you call your beliefs were planted. Most of what you defend was downloaded. You are not free, you're programmed. And I know that hurts to hear. But stay with me, because this episode will do what the world around you never did. Wake your mind up, because while you're stuck trying to fit in, someone else is thinking freely and building the future. You don't rise by repeating. You rise by reclaiming your mind. So pause whatever else is running in your brain and lean in. This might just be the video that flips the switch and shows you the mental slavery hiding behind your daily thoughts. Subscribe, because this series, it's not entertainment. It's mental rebellion. And when we're done here, you'll never look at your thoughts the same way again. Here's the truth that should have been told to you early in life. You were never taught how to think. You were trained how to repeat. From the moment you were a child, the system didn't develop your mind, it downloaded it. School didn't teach you how to question. It taught you how to circle the right answer on a sheet someone else designed. You were graded not on depth, but on obedience. Not on thought, but on memory. Not on insight, but on how well you followed the script. And while they told you that education was power, what they really gave you was programming, not awakening. We were raised in factories that looked like classrooms. Chairs in rows. Hands raised for permission. Punishment for coloring outside the lines. Praise for copying the teacher's tone and textbook. You were rewarded for silence, not curiosity. For staying in line, not stepping out with questions. You were conditioned to believe that authority equals truth. And so you grew up learning to defer your thinking to anyone who sounded confident. You learned to fear standing alone. You learned that being different might get you mocked, isolated, even punished. So what did you do? You adapted. You copied what was safe. You echoed what was praised. You mimicked the beliefs of the crowd, not because they made sense, but because they made you feel accepted. Culture told you what success looked like. Religion told you what to believe. Family told you not to question. And society wrapped it all in a bow and called it the right path. But what if that path wasn't yours? What if the reason you feel lost, confused, and unfulfilled is because you've never met your own mind, only your programming? You weren't raised to awaken. You were raised to obey. And now, years later, you have dreams, but you hesitate. You have ideas, but you second guess. You want to rise, but your mind keeps replaying the scripts that were installed in you as a child. This is the lie we were sold. That conformity is safety. That doing what you're told is wisdom. That silence is strength. But the truth is this. You will never rise by repeating what enslaved you. To rise, you must think. To lead, you must question. To live freely, you must break the script. And it starts by admitting this. Most of your thoughts aren't yours. Let's be honest. Most people aren't thinking, they're following. They don't form beliefs from research or reflection. They absorb beliefs from repetition and popularity. They don't seek truth, they seek comfort. They don't investigate, they imitate. That's the painful reality. We don't think. We echo. You see it everywhere. A trend goes viral, and suddenly it's everyone's opinion. A celebrity posts a quote, and millions repost it, not because it's true, but because it's popular. We mimic. We retweet. We repost. We memorize mantras we never measured. We claim values we never questioned. We ride waves of emotion that aren't even ours. It's not thought. It's tribal hypnosis. Most people are walking antennas, constantly tuned into what the crowd approves. If it pleases the group, they adopt it. If it offends the group, they avoid it. They outsource their conscience to culture, their decisions to influencers, their voice to algorithms, their mind to the mob. Not because they're evil, but because they've been trained to fear thinking for themselves. Real thinking is uncomfortable. It demands silence. It requires self-confrontation. It means stepping back and asking, do I believe this, or did I borrow it? Is this value mine, or was it handed to me? Is this truth, or just trending? But most people never slow down long enough to ask. They live life in auto-repeat, waking up, scrolling, reacting, obeying the temperature of the crowd. And that's not by accident. This world is built to distract you, not develop you. It wants you reactive, not reflective. Entertained, not enlightened. That's why it's so easy to get lost. Because everyone around you seems busy, but no one is really thinking. We've confused activity with awareness. We've confused passion with purpose. We've confused applause with accuracy. And the scary part? Most people will live their whole lives this way, wearing trends like armor, thinking someone else's thoughts, fighting battles they don't even understand, and never realizing they were never free. So if you're feeling lost in the noise, maybe it's not because you're behind. Maybe it's because your mind is waking up. And when it does, you'll realize the difference between a copied life and a created one. Let's start with this. Free thinkers are mocked until they're needed. They're misunderstood when they challenge the norm. They're isolated when they question the system. They're hated when they go against the crowd. But without them, the world never moves forward. Think about Galileo. He looked through a telescope and said, "The Earth isn't the center of the universe." They laughed. They attacked him. They silenced him. Why? Because he thought differently. Because he dared to look for himself instead of quoting what everyone else said. He died under house arrest. Today, we teach his discoveries in schools. But when he was alive, society punished him for thinking. Or Malcolm X. He didn't copy the peaceful tone everyone wanted him to have. He spoke sharp, thought sharp, lived sharp. And the world said, too aggressive, too radical, too much. But years later, history realized. He wasn't too much, we were too soft. He wasn't dangerous, he was awake. Or Jesus Christ himself. Pure truth, pure love, pure mission. And yet, betrayed, rejected, and crucified. Not because he was evil, but because he broke the religious system with original power. The very people he came to save couldn't handle the light he brought. Now contrast that with the millions of people who copy what's trending and vanish. The thousands of influencers who go viral by mimicking the latest challenge, but are forgotten 3 weeks later. The everyday people who shape their beliefs around what their friends think, never realizing they've sacrificed their soul for group approval. They follow the waves and disappear with the tide. Social media today is a museum of mimicry. Everyone trying to sound the same, look the same, move the same. Originality, buried beneath filters, algorithms, and follower counts. And the tragic part? They think they're expressing themselves, but they're just echoing everyone else. Now pause. Look at your own life. If Albert Einstein had your phone. If Leonardo da Vinci had your access to information. If Maya Angelou had your YouTube account. If Jesus had your audience. Would they spend hours copying TikToks? Would they be in comment sections trying to prove they're right? Would they be swiping reels or building realities? No, they'd be creating, inventing, studying, writing, leading, thinking. They would use the tools, not be used by them. So here's the hard truth. Most people today have more access than any genius in history. But less clarity, less discipline, less depth. Why? Because they traded their mind for mimicry. They stopped asking real questions and started chasing clout. But you don't have to be like them. Because the future won't be built by the loudest crowd. It will be built by the clearest minds. And the ones who stop copying will start creating the world the rest will follow. So now that you've seen it, the mimicry, the programmed mindset, the applause for sameness, the punishment for difference, what do you do now? You reprogram your mind. You uninstall the software that society installed, and install something better. Not faster, not louder, not trendier, deeper, sharper. The world tells you, be fast, react quick, post now. But original thinkers? They slow down. They pause before they speak. They breathe before they believe. They sit with questions until truth surfaces, not just the loudest opinion. Step 1. Ask better questions. Instead of, "Do people agree with me?" ask, "Is this actually true?" Instead of, "What's trending?" ask, "What matters?" Instead of, "What should I post to go viral?" ask, "What do I deeply need to say, even if no one claps?" Real thinkers don't move based on popularity. They move based on principle. Step 2. Think slowly and deeply. Thinking is not tweeting. Thinking is not reacting. Thinking is not memorizing someone else's ideas. Thinking is wrestling. It's sitting with contradictions. It's doubting what you've always believed. It's breaking apart your ego just to rebuild something more honest. A Greek philosopher once said, "To think is to suffer." Because thinking will cost you comfort. It will make you lonely. It will make you dangerous. Because the moment you start thinking, you stop being controllable. Step 3. Observe the crowd, then move opposite. If everyone is rushing one way, slow down. Ask, where are they going, and why? If everyone's obsessed with visibility, focus on depth. If everyone's chasing attention, chase mastery. Because the road to originality isn't crowded. It's narrow. It's quiet. It's painful. But it leads to freedom. Have the execution mindset. Think. Build. Repeat. Don't just consume ideas. Challenge them. Don't just feel emotions. Understand them. Don't just mimic behavior. Design your own system. Original thinkers are strategic. They journal their thoughts. They question everything, especially themselves. They keep their eyes on why they're doing what they're doing. Not just what they're doing. And when the noise rises, they get quieter, not louder. They don't just chase dreams. They engineer outcomes. To think is to suffer. But it's the only path to freedom. Because freedom isn't the absence of rules. It's the presence of clarity. And clarity comes through fire. If you're ready to rise, you must begin thinking differently. Not next week. Not after your next scroll. Now. So now what? You've seen the truth. You've felt the sting. You can't go back to sleep now. You've been copying, echoing, blending in. Not because you're weak, but because you were never shown another way. But now you know. And knowing makes you responsible. So what do? Start here. Start small. But start intentionally. Pick up a journal. Not a fancy one. Just something honest. And start writing your own thoughts. Not what you heard. Not what you reposted. Not what you saw trending. But what you actually believe. What you fear. What you crave. What you wonder about when the noise is gone. Because clarity starts with self-awareness. And self-awareness starts with isolation from the echo. Unfollow the noise. Mute the influencers who shout louder than they think. Step back from content that stirs your emotions but never sharpens your thinking. You don't need more opinions. You need more silence. More stillness. More time alone with your mind, until it becomes your weapon. Build a filter in your head that asks one question daily. Is this mine, or was it planted? That belief you carry, was it inherited or investigated? That fear you feel, is it yours, or borrowed from someone else? That goal you're chasing, is it rooted in truth, or just the culture's suggestion? Because if you don't challenge it, it controls you. And if it controls you, you're not thinking, you're reacting. You need to train your mind until it becomes a sword. Sharp, disciplined, untouched by emotion. A mind that cuts through false narratives. A mind that doesn't need applause. A mind that questions before it copies. A mind that asks why before it follows what. Because the world is loud. And the world is fast. And the world wants you blind. But you are not blind. Not anymore. Train your mind to think so clearly, no lie survives. So when everyone else is echoing, you're building. When they're performing, you're questioning. When they're asleep, you're awake. You don't need everyone to agree. You need to be true. That's the beginning of freedom. Not just loud freedom, but deep freedom. The kind that lets you breathe without pretending. Think without pleasing. Create without copying. And that version of you, you'll never lose it again. Because now, you know how to think. If you have watched to this point, let me tell you this. If you keep copying, you'll keep disappearing. The world doesn't need another mimic. It needs a mind like yours, awake, dangerous, clear. So pause. Reflect. Then comment one truth you're reclaiming today. Let this be your line in the sand. And if this shook something in you, subscribe. Because episode 3? It'll go even deeper. And this time, it won't just challenge your thinking, it'll confront your identity. This is Expozer. We don't comfort. We awaken. See you in the next one.